culture issues may be, and just to, hear from you guys on that issue. So, tell me your thoughts, and I'll start with you, Charlie. What were your thoughts this weekend watching that game?
Well, it was, I guess, it was very evident at some point in time, as we all saw, that we had a good game plan coming in the first quarter. Looked like what it's supposed to look like. But the issue we had, and probably it was a glaring weakness for quite some time, is just how do we face adversity? How do we handle adversity? And that was something that happened. One mistake against a very good team, and that's what people fail to realize is, when you make a mistake against a good team, they definitely make you pay. And we weren't able to recover from that one mistake, which, that's part of the growing process when you're trying to develop, a certain culture. And I think, over the course of time, they'll get it developed.
I think so, too. And I know, James, you have written 2 very good articles this week on Gridiron Now. We have posted them to our page. I encourage everybody to check those out. As a former player, explaining to the fans what the culture is and what it means. James, can you elaborate on that some? Because I think it's very important for people to understand that.
Culture is about buy-in. I was lucky to have guys like Charlie before me, Peter Ward, and have a coach, and the culture was established by guys who had a winning philosophy and thought processes coming down. And the buy-in wasn't about buying into just Coach Bowden, but buying into what it means to be a Florida State Seminole, which we call a dope boy now. So, I bought into wanting to be that next guy. And under Coach Bowden, and doing the recruiting process, you know that every position, even the ones that no longer exist like mine, it's almost impossible to be top 5 in that position. But you want to go to become that next name. And what happened with the shift, I believe, and it's not that Jimbo Fisher didn't do a good job, it's just it kind of shifted away from some of that, and even toward the end of the Bowden years, and then the culture became about myself, about me, and not about the team. And when you look at the field, you see a lot of guys not necessarily just quitting, but you see a lot of guys playing me first type of football. And the problem with that is it's a team game. You cannot be successful if you don't do the rules. You don't operate by the rules, or you don't operate by the play call. It doesn't matter if the play call was good. It doesn't matter if the formation was good. At a certain point, Jimmy's and Joe's have to execute the X's and O's. And I put in one of my articles, one of the times when Coach Bowden, a few times Coach Bowden got me messed up by calling a really bad play. But I didn't have an opportunity to cry and say, this play is not going to work. I had to figure it out. And because I knew there were guys like William Floyd who would score on that same play because he was just a bad man. And I wanted to be considered a bad man just like the guys who came in front of me. So it was less about me. It was more about my teammates. And it was more about the guys behind me and the guys who were coming in front. And I think that Taggart's trying to get that going, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And another thing that I think also, that score probably didn't have to be as out of hand as Taggart did. He did let it get. And it's not because Taggart did anything bad as a coach. Taggart did something that inner city mama's been doing to people for years. I remember when I got in my first fist fight when I was 5 years old. This young man messed up my Oshkosh B'gosh overalls. And my mom worked really hard to make sure I had those Oshkosh B'gosh overalls. And the first thing she looked at me and said, "That boy's clothes better look worse than yours." And I said, "No." So she took me by my ear. She drug me out of that house. And we went to that boy's house. And I had to fight him again. And it was two things. Either I was going to whoop his behind or she was going to whoop me. And now, that could have failed. It could have ended bad, but she would have known what kind of son she had at that point. Like, she would have known, like, okay, do I have somebody who's willing to fight his way out of this? Or do I have somebody who's not? And so when you see somebody, like, people are like, why did he call out the starter? You either going to fight or you going to let his boys beat you by 100. And I think that's my opinion of it.
What do you guys think overall about that game?
You know what I love the most about that game, honestly. Besides the fact that we won the game in the fashion that we won it, I was excited to see when the game was over. I seen Willie Tiger with the boys, and everybody was so crunk, and he was doing the squirrel with the whistle. Yeah, you know what I said I was gonna do? I said I'm gonna go on Facebook, and I said I want to see who can do the squirrel the best, and I'm gonna start it out first. That's what I said I was gonna do.
I love it. It was awesome.
We can start something new, the Willie Taggart Challenge. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to give my coach with. I'm going to go give my coach a whistle, and I'm going to go do the squirrel.
Hey, JC, I promise you, that's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to do the Willie Tiger Challenge, man. Who do the squirrel best? Crunk the way they was crunk about winning a game against Boston College. You should feel like that after every win, man.
Yes. That's what Coach Taggs said last night.
We had won 4 games. They was that crunk for winning just 5 games. It's like you just got. It's like a sense of urgency when you play for Florida State. It's like about pride putting that jersey on. We don't put that jersey on just to say we go to Florida State. We put that jersey on and say we about to win this thing at Florida State. That's what it's all about. Tradition, keep it going.
Yep.
They got it though. They got it. They definitely got it.
Yeah, they do. And you guys have done a great job of, I know, coming back and mentoring and trying to help and also calming the fan base down, who has gone completely crazy at times.
Yeah, they going crazy. I had to get on Facebook and be like, hey, look, chill out, man. You know, don't act like we just won 50 games last year. Y'all wasn't saying none of that.
Thank you.
Actually, it's just something I'm interested in. I know and this can help educate the fan base too. Because sometimes they get on these guys and don't really understand the pressures and what it's like being in that position, in that fishbowl. And don't want to go into the details and things, but obviously you were probably one of the more high-profile players that we had some of the most high-profile incidents happen. Can you just give a little bit, just to let people humanize it a little bit? Let them know what it's like to have to get your books right, to have to play and have every step criticized for it. If anybody can explain it, it would be somebody of your stature and magnitude.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like playing at Florida State, man, is tough because of all the expectations of things that you have to do, and you know, doing things the right way and walking according to the things that you have going on. Like for me, I was never in trouble before, and then all of a sudden I got in trouble with the Dillard incident. I got in trouble with and I got in trouble in Tampa. It was kind of tough because when you're doing the right things, everybody praise you, right? Then when you're playing good, everybody talk about you. But as soon as you make a mistake, it's like it's always somebody that has something negative to say. And so for me, it was hard because I've never been in that situation before, as far as like being in trouble and trying to get out of it and still have a good face. It's tough because I go to games and people have dealer's bags with handcuffs on it. I'm like who treats a child like that? I was still a kid, man, and having people just talk bad about me, saying that it's this and that. And now that I'm older and more mature and wiser and stuff, I sit back and say that was a decision that I wish that I could change that. But in all actuality, I can't. I went through it because I felt like God put me in that situation because He knew that I could go through it. I blocked out all those things. It was tough for me to go out there and play. But my competitive nature just went out there and just overwhelmed everything that I was going through, because I felt like, hey man, I've always been the outcast. I've always been the underdog. You know, I'm gonna go out here and show them that even though I made a mistake, I'm still that guy. Don't get it twisted. And everybody make mistakes, and I'm going to show them that I can overcome it. So when I hear people saying little stuff on Facebook about the kids and saying that, oh, they're not doing this, you know, I try to remind them, hey, at the end of the day, they got parents. You know, they still kids. You know, everybody make mistakes. They still learning. They still growing. So you can't, the things that y'all saying, y'all got to understand that they have parents. You know, you can't just talk bad about these kids. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but what are you going to do to learn from it? And I learned from it by just having my family, having my teammates, the coaches, and everybody. What made me go out there and ball was everybody had my back. On my Florida State team, we all came together. You know, they fought for me, I fought for them, and they just believed in me. And by them doing that, that helped me excel.
Yeah.
If you understand.
And what people also don't understand is, like, I know when you were going through all that, and I was in political science with you, and we had Dr. Billings classes. Like, we had a very early morning class, and, you know, you'd go to an out-of-town game, and you'd still be there first thing in the morning. Like, I don't think they understand that when all that other stuff's going on, you guys, you know, at that age, you're still going to class trying to keep your grades, play your game. You know, you don't need anything else on you.
We had study hall.
Hey everybody, it's Danielle Kelly, DKelly21 with 36 Degrees, here today with my co-host James Coleman, Big Game James 36, and we have a very special guest, the legendary Snoop Menace, our former star wide receiver, drafted in the 3rd round by the Kansas City Chiefs. You all know him well. He's a definite one of our most vocal Noles. It is such an honor having him here with us today. How's it going, Snoop?
What's up, baby?
We're ready.
How you doing?
We're good. How are you doing?
It's Miami week, baby. I'm good, baby. Ready to go.
You ready to do this?
Already.
Yes, it is Miami week.
In the early 90s, watching both programs as they ascended and were doing putting college football on the map, it was just really great when the amount of talent that was on the field at any given time, NFL caliber talent or just great college players.
Those was the days, and those why the games was classic. You know, that's why there was a classic battles back then, because, you know, the talent was equal. You know what I'm saying? They had just as much talent as we did, you know, and that's why we have the respect, you know what I'm saying? The Miami-Florida State rivalry, you know, we don't like each other, but we respect each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, you know, they was a mirror image of us. We was a mirror image of them. You know what I'm saying? And we both teams had dogs. You know, dogs that were determined to win. You know, that you ain't gonna beat us. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it was classic battles, because we always were going at each other. You know, we making plays, they making plays. It's always coming down to the wire, baby. You know what I'm saying? And thankfully, you know, when I was there, we won 4 of those games.
Yeah, those are huge games. I mean, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people wonder which one's the bigger rival.
Baby.
A lot of people want to know, is Florida the bigger rival or is Miami the bigger rival? And it really depends.
For Florida State, it's Florida. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, I'm a Miami guy. So Miami the bigger rival for me. You know, because, you know, that's my hometown team. You know, and I always personally, you know, I want to beat them. You know, there was always a special game for me because of that. You know, and plus also, you know, a lot of guys from during my time was from Miami. You know, we always had like 20 players from Miami when I played. You know, so we was playing against players that we knew, you know, person that we grew up with, you know, that we went to school with, you know, played against in high school, you know, so that was always added motivation for us, you know, too. You know, them bragging rights too from when we did come home. So,
but then also I saw a lot of those guys on recruiting.
I hate Florida more than I hate Miami. I don't like Florida more than I don't like Miami.
And we were interviewing Dexter Carter, and he was saying he hated Miami more, but those late 80 games were just phew with Miami. They were bad.
Yeah, with them wide rights.
Oh, my word, yes. I think if, because when I was growing up, Florida was the biggest rival, but then we started with all those 80s Miami games and the missed kicks, and Miami took over at that point. We all hated them. I mean, just hated them.
Yeah. No, we hated
Florida with a passion.
Oh, me too.
I don't like anything about Florida.
I agree, James. I don't want Florida to win it. Nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, this is like, I think a month ago, I woke up like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they had a badminton game, a cornhole game going on ESPN, and it was against Florida and Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So I started watching it. I was like, man, I hope they lose. They lost too.
Cornhole.
Yeah, cornhole. I didn't even know they had cornhole as a sport in college. Yeah. But but I don't want Florida to win in nothing, bro. So I'm with you on that, baby.
I feel you. Well, I mean, this game coming up.
Okay, and let's be quite honest, we still had a lot better players on the team last year. Okay, so we had better players on the team last year that were acclimated to the system that they were already in. Still finished 6 and 6. And then we lose a ton of those players. We lost players that wanted to go to the NFL that wasn't even playing.
Yep.
We lose eight offensive linemen in the offseason. That
one of them wanted to be one of them left to go work on cars. Like, that's what he chose to do.
That's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. Right. That's an upgrade for him. But that's the thing. But that's the type of mindset of player that you have on the team. Who's going to leave Florida State to go work on cars? What kind of mindset is that? I mean, is that somebody truly committed to the program for 3 or 4 years? Or we got guys that, I look back to last year when we played Boston College, and I'm like, wow, man, this team, when we played Boston College last year, I was like, man, something ain't right.
That's another argument, though, that we keep getting is, I know I get it all the time, is we have too much talent on this team to have this record right now.
Talent where? Not where you need it. You need talent. Listen, we got to understand something. This 4 and 5 star system's garbage. Okay? I mean, somebody's telling them, oh, you're a 4, you're a 5 star. That has nothing to do with your transition to college. Like I keep telling people, if you're not at practice watching how a guy practices or what he does in practice, and you're not watching his film, you have absolutely no clue what type of talent you got unless you're in meetings to know how a kid absorbs it. You don't even, because he's a 5-star athlete, doesn't guarantee that he can read a playbook or he's ready to understand how to block certain ways or run pass patterns or understand the concept of a whole offense or of an offense or understanding of a defense or learning how to play technique. That has nothing to do with what a 4 or 5 star is. I played with some 5 stars that never got off the bench when I played for 3 years, when I was there for 3 years. I mean, I don't want to use the names, but I mean, but that's the reality of college football. You have to understand. Okay, if I got 4 or 5 stars on my defensive line and offensive line, okay, well, all right, now you cooking. But, me having 5 stars at speed and skill position, how does that really help me if my quarterback can't get the ball off?
I mean, part of that, too, is about balance in your recruiting. So one thing that I had to go back and look at was, how did we recruit? How did we get to this position right that we're at? And the teams that we consider that are good, like, so you consider Georgia. How did Georgia research? How has Alabama been able to be consistently good? What has Clemson done? Hey, what has Texas A&M done? And I look at it, is the consistent thing they do every year. They recruit 4 to 5 offensive line. Every class. And then I stepped back and I thought about what made me want to go to Florida State. And what was one of the things that was consistent about Florida State is that even though Bobby might have went to a more national and got critique for it, every year he brought in your replacement. It is your job to not get replaced.
Okay. Welcome, Chris. We're glad to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be on the show this morning with you.
Well, we're blessed for it. I mean, really, it's James and I have been interviewing former players this year, and you guys have all been such a voice of encouragement. trying to help us with a pretty crazy season, I have to say the least, that's getting crazier. We don't have an offensive coordinator right now. I know James has a lot of opinions on that we're about to hear. So, that said, tell me what your thoughts are. As a former Nole watching this, unfold this year, we have a new coach. We've had some issues. We lost our offensive coordinator now. We're trying to get another one. We've had just so much going on, and it's a place that a lot of people aren't used to. I know you played for Coach Bowden, so did James, when he was here, and for so long, I grew up, he was the only coach I knew. Just what are your thoughts in general? I mean, because I know our fan base is kind of divided on some issues and lots of stuff going on.
I have a bunch of mixed emotions, to be honest. I know from the outside looking in, it's easy for us to judge and to criticize and to say what we could do better. But at the same time, I played for the FSU that was stable. We had standards. We had a high level of success. And everyone that came to Florida State, including myself, we looked at going to Florida State as a gift, as an opportunity. Whereas athletes today look at Florida State as what can the school do for them. And I think the mindset has just totally changed with not just our athletes, but all across the board in college sports and high school sports. And I think that has a big impact on just the attitude of the kids. But at the same time, the standard for Florida State football and Florida State athletics, period, it is what it is, and you sign up for that, and that's what we expect. Being former players, being former students at the school, that's all we know. That's what we expect, and I think it's so easy to focus on the top guy. I have a lot of respect for Coach Taggart. I don't know him that well. I've heard a lot of great things about him, but I think we need to get away from all the talk, the hashtags, all the talk and the book bag on the sideline, and just get back to playing football. That's what we do well. That was our reasoning for coming to Florida State, and I think we got caught up into trying to be like all these other schools when we were the standard.
Oh, that's good.
You're not a huge fan of the turnover bag.
Never. A turnover bag, like really? Like we're Florida State and we doing a turnover bag? Like that's what we do. We create turnovers. We score touchdowns. We win games. That's what we came there for. Like I never understood that. And again, I know it's a different age, and these kids are trendy, and it's cool and it sounds good, but at the same time, that's just not our sport.
Because you cannot give a better team with superior talent at certain positions the opportunity to get a second chance. And what did Goff do whenever that safety missed that interception? He came right back, and they scored a couple of plays later. They wouldn't have had an opportunity if we'd have taken the ball from them. And the other thing is, what can Florida State do to give themselves a chance? Well, it seems like they found a way to get DJ Matthews the ball. DJ was a young cat in Jacksonville, as James knows. When Dexter Jr. was a senior, Matthews was like a freshman or a sophomore. Well, I saw his talent then, and I see it now. And they're beginning to get the ball to him in ways. Be creative with it. Put him in a position. Make him, I call it strain. Make him strain to make himself great. Put him in a position to make plays. I saw Francois target him a lot. There were some balls overthrown, because DJ's like 5'9", 5'10". Not really, but there was a lot of overthrown balls. But get the ball to him, and I tell you, that touchdown that they brought back, boy, it was close. It could have went either way. The one, well, we call it on my high school team, we call it Florida State, where it's a receiver screen and he takes and he double throws it down the field. They could have easily called that to Florida State, because I thought it was
on parallel, but DJ got to be taught in practice every single time that they run that play that he's got to make sure he is the one behind the quarterback, and he didn't, So that wasn't a good thing. Now, the other thing that I think Florida State could do really help themselves, and y'all excuse my sarcasm or my truthfulness with some humor, or maybe I'm just kidding. I don't know. But the other thing they can do is they can go about 9 hours away, and they can pluck Dexter Carter Jr. out of Georgia Southern and give him a transfer and let him be a part of that receiving corps. And I tell you what, that will immediately make them a better team. So maybe they'll hear me say that.
We're going to have to throw you in to do some punt returns, too.
Hey, I got one return, and it's about 5 to 8 yards. I don't know if I got more burst than that, Danielle.
I can't sit back there and catch you.
Hey, James. Hey, I look like I got 100 yards in me now. And if I have you and Danielle out front blocking for me, you know what? You might make it happen.
Somebody asked me if I could play. I said, I ain't got nothing but 4 plays. 2 of them going to get burnt out, getting me to the field. So you got to use them. You got to use them wisely. But
that's what I'm talking about.
And that's the last thing that I was going to say, Daniel, that really, because there's only 3 phases of the game, right? And I think everybody, and what makes Bama and some of these other people so good is that you can't beat them in any of the 3 phases. But really, if you win 2/3 of the phases, especially in tight games, you should win. So, and I think about rivalry games I've played in the past, games I've lost to the Clemson, like where our defense played well enough, but our special teams was so putrid and our offense wasn't good enough that they won the game. So what has to happen is FSU can't have topsy-turvy offense. You can't have, special teams. You can't
walk in the door and feel that they deserve to start, not work to start. They deserve, if I come here to school, what is it in for me? I want to be the top corner coming in because I'm the top corner here. When we were there wasn't no top corner. You got to go in there and earn a job. They want their job given to you. And I'm giving it to them, I'm sorry. So if they don't get what they want, they have this free range to go run and cry to mom and dad, and then mom and dad send them to another school, and they want to, go somewhere else. We did not have that capability to do so. Either you earn a job or you sit. Whatever you choose to do, you have that choice on your own. 4-star, 5-star, didn't matter coming to Florida State. We all was All-Americans coming out of high school. So you had to take Terrell Buckner's job. They had to take Corey Sawyer's job. They had to take Charlie Ward's job. Charlie Ward had to take someone else's job. It was always a competition once we got on the football field. Nowadays, I don't see that high level of competing with this new millennium group of athletes.
Those are great points. And, that is part of, and I hate to say it, but that's part of recruiting, now with our season is kids coming here and knowing, if they pick us over other schools right now, I hate to say this, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but they are coming because they believe they can start next year because we are so limited on the offensive line and everything else. So we're kind of in this position where I feel like some positions they know they're not going to have to battle for.
Well, let me pause. So is a difference. Now, what Corey's saying is 100% true. But it's a difference when, if feeling you can start, and feeling you're entitled to start. There are some guys that were recruited and told you're going to be a day one starter, and they were promised something that they did not have to earn. That's nothing new to recruiting, but the difference is allegedly under the last era, there was some things that were just saying, we're going to just give this to you. But I know when I came in, I played as a true freshman. And I felt in my mind that I was ready to play, but I also didn't have a mama to go cry to. My mama said, this is a decision you made. You're gonna rock with this decision. Correct. So it's a difference in finding locker room, the kind of guys you want in your locker room. So this is why I tell people I hold Tag accountable for not processing guys, but you got to get people on the process of the guys that don't have your mindset, which is the Florida State mindset, which is the one of old, which is I'm old guys coming in. I remember, we don't care about your accolades as a freshman. You're nothing but a snot-nosed freshman now. That's what the older guys did. But the younger guys came in saying that, you know what, I believe that I'm supposed to be here, and I'm going to fight to prove it. So, like, if you saw me last year, I joked to Amari Gainer through Twitter. I was like, you ain't made enough plays to talk to fans like that. Go make a play, and then you can go to then you can talk to fans. But it was a little bit more of an accountability culture, and I don't see that. I don't see the leadership with these older guys. But I actually, which is the only reason some of these younger guys get away with that.
Correct. We had locker room police. Coach Bowden barely had to, keep us accountable for anything. Mickey Andrews was the chief of that, and Chuck Amato was the chief of that. But with myself, Derek Brooks, Marvin Jones on the defensive side, we held everybody in check. William Floyd was on the opposite, the offensive side. And as you know, Floyd, he was a rah-rah type of guy. He would snatch Charlie Ward by his jersey and say, get it together. Because right now, we scoring 10 points and we should be scoring 30 points. So Charlie Ward just took that in stride and say, I got to play better. We had those type of captains and those leaders in our locker room. You clearly do not see that in Florida State football for the last 2 years. And it's
we still can turn this thing around. Like I said, it's just I'm just looking at it as a rebuilding year this year.
Right. There's so many things that are just odd, and a lot of moving parts. Obviously, when you played at Florida State, especially being a special teams legend, but during those times when they're doing the dynasty, you guys didn't really have many down times. But can you talk about any adversity that you guys faced, or times that you guys may have had to buckle down and say, hey, we got to be able to play for the future, play for the pride of the university?
Well, there was a time when I think right after that Notre Dame loss, when I was playing, we was considered one of the top ranked teams in the nation. And I think at that point, a lot of guys had to come together in order to reach our goal, which was the national championship. We had to pull together as a team because we didn't want to go out and say, well, the goal from the beginning of the season was to get Coach Bowden his first national championship. And we didn't want to be the ones to let him down. So we all drew together as a team. And that was our biggest challenge, to go out there and do what we set out to do.
That's really huge. I mean, because I know, James, you brought that up when we talked to Charlie Ward, that team managed to overcome huge adversity in that loss to Notre Dame. Of course, we all remember the Boston College kick that helped, us get to that national championship game. But you guys didn't collapse. You stayed together and got it done and got back in it. And, well, y'all destroyed NC State that night, I remember. But, I think that's the kind of culture. I know, James, you've been writing a lot about culture, and again, guys, go to our 36 Degrees page and read his articles. He is absolutely on fire lately. They're so good, I can't even say it, but James has written a lot about the culture, and he references that game a lot, because you guys knew how to overcome that adversity, and I think our fan bases, some people are kind of left feeling like this team doesn't.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have an outlook on from a player's perspective, and as I was a student assistant coach over there, Coach Bowden's last year and Jimbo's first year, and I could tell the difference. I mean, it was so bad when I was a coach there that in the Florida game, I wrote Coach Bowden a letter, and I told him I apologize for. I felt bad because I felt like the players weren't. And I'm not going to say as talented as we were, but I don't think they were as focused and as hungry as we were back then. And I just felt bad for his situation. And like I said, I put a letter up under his door, and he came and he talked to me, so he appreciated it. But going into Jimbo's first year, I saw things starting to turn around. Jimbo Fisher was a great recruiter, and he was a good coach. So, I felt good about the future of Florida State football after I left after that. I have a personal relationship with him, you know, so
yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, and James, I know you do too, and he did talk earlier about how that team, even with the losses, came together. Now I know me and you have always talked about the 1993 national championship team doing that as well. After the loss to Notre Dame, they came together and bonded and knew what had to be done. And the question remains now whether this team can do that. But I know there's a heavy focus on recruiting FSU players right now that have the heart for FSU. That truly want to play for FSU. We see that in certain players now, like Keyshawn Helton. He loves FSU, and every play he is, 100%. He's one I always brag about. So, I don't know, James, what you think? I mean, you think, is it...
Well, I mean, I think it's a lot of things. One of the bigger things, I've talked to a lot of guys, and one of the things I think it was strategic on Jimbo Fisher's part, and I kind of understand it, but it's something that probably was also detrimental toward the end as far as connecting the program, is that he went and he wanted to put his own traditions in and establish those, as opposed to keeping the current traditions and adding new ones. And when that happened, it kind of created a situation where guys were coming in and did not really know what it meant to be an FSU football player. So when you have a coach who is the epitome of consistency, there's only been two programs that have really maintained that consistency throughout, actually three, I'd say. You had FSU, Virginia Tech, Penn State, where you had coaches who spanned the course of 2 to 3 decades in one space. Like, that's unheard of in today's climate, where 10 years at one place is considered a long stretch. But you had Bowden, who actually came in and entrenched those things. The guys could watch on TV. You could hear about these superstars. You learned what it was like to be an FSU guy, and you wanted to buy into that. That swagger, that hard-nosed work ethic that you saw on TV. And you didn't really see that even with the run of national championships. And we've always had guys get in trouble, but all you were able to do was see the trouble, and you saw the focus was on one guy. Bobby didn't have to have the focus on him. Bobby naturally took the focus, but what he also did was naturally deflect it. He kept the focus on him when we lost, but he disseminated the praise when we won. And Jimbo didn't do that. And that's not a knock on Jimbo. It's just these guys don't know. For 7 years, we had a lost Seminole generation. So now they got to come back and understand that Seminole football isn't about being selfish. It's about doing what you can do to leave your mark on the brand. And if you're good enough or lucky enough, you'll be remembered. But out of anything, it's really just about the brotherhood and making sure that, guys like yourself, like Larry Key, guys like Derek Brooks, guys like these other guys who came in and laid that foundation, we have an obligation to make sure that we lay the foundation so 30 years from now, their kids or their grandkids are going to be able to want to say, like, hey, I want to be a Seminole because I saw the way that these young men played. So we got guys like Keyshawn Helton, some guys that are doing it, but we got some selfish cats, and we got to make sure we either get them on board or they take care of themselves.
I know you said that fine, my friend. That is I couldn't have done it better myself. Coach Bowden, he has his own way of doing things, but it was a good way, And I've had, because of me attending school there at Florida State, I've had numerous people come up to me and say, I came to Florida State because I enjoyed the football program and some of the players, that played there, they followed them. Even now, they still following them. So.
Really what comes down to it is, and PK can correct me and interject anytime he wants to, it's not that
the play is not necessarily the play. Like the plays, it may be a bad play call, it may not be a bad play call. But as I tell people all the time, we play with Jeff Bowden, and I like Jeff as a person, but as a coordinator, he put us in some situations sometimes that weren't the greatest. But as a player, with a culture, there's a personal sense of pride that actually has to come into it. So as long as you go 100% and you fight for the person to the left or your right, and the brand of what that logo is on your helmet, you can at least look like a functional football player. But the inability to block anybody, whether it be wide receivers on a quick screen, whether it be running backs pass pro, whether it be offensive linemen just at least pinching the defensive lineman, there seems to be a lack of buy-in and a lack of playing for each other, because that makes absolutely no sense. A bad play call is a bad play call, but bad execution is literally on the player.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Just to kind of add, you might have been just a little too young, but when I got to Florida State, this team actually reminds me of the 2001 team, where something wasn't clicking, right? And I do think it was the buy-in. A lot of those older guys had played during the quote-unquote glory years, you know what I'm saying, going to multiple national championships in a row, and then when they got kind of behind the eight ball, we were losing games. Even though they were great players, they had stopped buying into Jeff Bowden. So I can only speak for the receivers. I know myself, Caponzo Thorpe, Willie Reed, by the time we were older guys, in 2003, it was the same play calls. It was just that we took it upon ourselves to work extra with Ricks and get on the same page. So if we did have something go on that we didn't like, we were still playing for each other. We had formed that bond that, hey, we're gonna turn this around while we're starters. We don't want a 8-5 season. We want to get back to 10 wins. So I completely agree. At some point, it just has to be, your pride, and set aside whatever the play call is or whoever is in charge.